Okay, picture this. It's 3:50 in the morning. We're in Midlothian, Texas. It's pitch black outside. It's pouring rain. And we're looking at security footage from inside the hallways of a church.
The Creekside Church of Christ. And, at this hour, those hallways should be completely empty. Silent.
Exactly. You expect to see nothing. Or if you do see something on a camera at 4 a.m., maybe
Yeah.
a janitor, a teenager trying to break into a vending machine. But that is not what is on this tape.
No. What you see is, it's arguably one of the most chilling images in modern true crime. You see a figure walking calmly down the hall. But they're not dressed like a burglar. They are dressed from head to toe in full tactical police gear.
We're talking the full setup. Helmet, heavy ballistic vest, shin guards, gloves. You can see police written across the chest. If you just glanced at this footage without any context, you'd think a SWAT team is about to raid the building.
But there is no team. It's just one person. And there's no raid. Just a quiet church in the middle of a thunderstorm.
That image, that specific visual of someone dressed for war walking through a place of peace, is what we're digging into today. This is the deep dive on the Silent Sentinel, an analysis of the unsolved murder of Missy Bevers. And I have to say, looking through the source material, this one sits differently with me.
It feels different because of all the contradictions. Usually, crime scenes follow a certain logic, robberies look like robberies, crimes of passion look chaotic. But the Silent Sentinel source material lays out this timeline and a set of behaviors that make you question everything you think you know about how a targeted attack is supposed to look.
Right. And our mission here isn't just to retell a scary story. We want to actually look at the anomalies. We want to unpack the specific baffling choices this person on the screen made, because those choices are the reason this case has been cold since 2016.
Precisely. It's so easy to get distracted by the scary costume. It's designed to be distracting. But if we want to understand what happened, we have to look past the helmet and the vest and look at the movement, the intent, the psychology of the disguise.
So let's set the scene properly before we get to the footage. Who are we talking about here? Who is the victim?
We're talking about Missy Bevers.
Oh.
Based on the profile we have, she was 45 years old, a mother of 3, and just deeply embedded in the local fitness community. The sources describe her as incredibly energetic, the kind of person who just radiated motivation.
She ran a program called Camp Gladiator, right?
She did. And for anyone who doesn't know, Camp Gladiator isn't just a gym class. It's an outdoor fitness boot camp. It's intense, and the culture around it is, very dedicated.
And usually very early.
Extremely early. The class Missy was teaching that morning was scheduled for 5:00 a.m. And that is a crucial detail because it explains why a mother of 3 is heading to a church in the middle of the night. She wasn't attending a service. She was there to work.
And here's a detail from the source material that I think really speaks to who she was. The weather that morning was just atrocious.
It was a heavy Texas thunderstorm, driving rain, lightning, thunder, the kind of weather where you wake up, you hear the rain on the roof, and you go right back to sleep.
Exactly. And the source says several of her students actually did just that. They canceled. They texted her saying, nope, not doing it today.
But Missy didn't cancel.
She didn't. She still showed up. She dragged herself out of bed at probably, 3:30 in the morning in the driving rain to go set up equipment for a class that might not even have that many people in it.
That shows a tremendous amount of dedication. But it also sets the tragic stage. Because she's so dedicated, she puts herself in that building, alone, at an hour when almost no one else on Earth would be there.
So let's walk through the timeline. Missy arrives at the church. What time are we looking at?
She pulls into the parking lot at approximately 4:20 a.m. She enters the building, likely hauling gear, weights, mats,
Right.
getting things ready for the 5 a.m. start.
Okay, so she walks in at 4:20. And here's where the story shifts from tragic to terrifying. She wasn't the first one there.
No, she wasn't. And this is the timeline discrepancy that is so critical to this case. We mentioned earlier that the timeline starts at 3:50 a.m.
Right, that's a 30-minute gap.
30 minutes. At roughly 3:50 a.m., the security cameras, the Silent Sentinel, pick up that figure we described in the intro, the person in the tactical gear.
So for half an hour, this person is inside the church, alone. And this is where we need to stop and really analyze what's on that tape. Because if I'm breaking into a place, I'm in and out. Speed is safety.
Speed and stealth. That's the standard modus operandi for a burglary. You want to be invisible and you want to be fast. This suspect was neither.
They were definitely not invisible. We talked about the gear, the helmet, the vest. But they're also carrying a tool, right?
The source describes it as a hammer-like tool. It could be a pry bar, a framing hammer, maybe something specifically for breaking heavy glass. But here's the thing. Watch the behavior described in the source. If you see someone dressed like a SWAT officer breaking into a building, what's the energy level you expect?
I expect urgency,
Yeah.
adrenaline, like go, 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 clearing rooms, looking for a save, checking corners.
Exactly. You expect a mission. But the source material highlights something completely different. It says this person wasn't rushing.
This is the part that creeps me out the most. They were just wandering.
Calmly wandered the halls, is the phrase used. They're walking around this empty church. They break some glass panels on doors. They open some doors and peek inside. But the tempo is wrong. It's too slow. It's almost leisurely.
Leisurely. That is such a disturbing word in this context.
It is. It challenges you to ask, what is the goal here? If you're there to steal, why dress in a costume that draws so much attention if you're seen? And why take your time?
It almost feels like they were killing time.
Or waiting.
Waiting. That's a chilling thought.
The source notes that the behavior looked almost like they were waiting for someone, or perhaps patrolling. They're occupying the space. They aren't just passing through it. They are, in a way, claiming it.
And the contrast is just so stark. You have the violent aesthetic, the police gear, the hammer clashing with this calm walk. It creates this tension that something is about to happen, but the person on screen seems to have all the time in the world.
And tragically, that time runs out at 4:20 a.m.
Right. The timeline converges. Missy Bevers pulls up in the rain. She unlocks the door. She enters the building to prepare for Camp Gladiator. She likely has absolutely no idea anyone else is there.
And this is where the silent sentinel, the camera system, stops giving us the full picture. There are blind spots in the church.
So we don't see the encounter.
We don't. The source states that shortly after 4:20 a.m., Missy encountered the intruder. The attack happened inside the church.
And from the evidence, it wasn't a robbery gone wrong where they shouted at her to get on the ground or something?
The description is violent and sudden. There was no negotiation. Missy was killed there in the church. And then, just as quickly as they appeared, the suspect fled.
Before the police could arrive, before the campers showed up.
Yes. By the time the first students arrived for class, the ones who braved the rain and found Missy, the figure in the tactical gear had vanished into the night.
And nobody heard anything. This is a church. Surely there are houses nearby.
Remember the weather. It's 4 a.m. in a heavy thunderstorm. Thunder, rain pounding on the roof. And they're inside a large insulated building. No screams were heard. There were no witnesses present. That's why the source calls the camera the silent sentinel. It's the only witness. It saw the preamble, it saw the suspect, but it couldn't speak.
So all the police have, is that footage, that grainy black and white video of a person in a costume walking down a hallway.
And that video became the centerpiece of the entire investigation. It was released to the public almost immediately because police were convinced someone would recognize this person. I mean, how many people own full tactical gear?
I remember seeing it on the news back then. Even if you couldn't see the face because of the helmet, there was something about the way they moved. Everyone was talking about the walk.
The distinctive walk. That became the obsession of the internet and the investigators.
It wasn't a normal walk, was it?
No. The source describes it as distinctive, noting that the feet turn out kind of like a duck or a penguin, and there's a heaviness to the step.
So immediately, the theory is, look for someone with a limp or, look for someone with a leg injury.
That was the initial instinct. Investigators looked at medical records. They looked for people with a history of foot surgeries or hip problems. But we have to apply a critical filter here. And the source material raises a fascinating point about this gait analysis.
What's the catch?
The gear.
The gear.
Think about it. If you're wearing a heavy tactical vest that isn't sized for you, maybe shin guards that are slipping down, and heavy combat boots that are 2 sizes too big, are you going to walk normally?
No way. You're going to shuffle. You're going to widen your stance to keep your balance.
Exactly. It creates what we call false signature. If you're looking for a suspect with a limp, but the killer actually has a perfect athletic stride, when they aren't wearing 40 pounds of ill-fitting fake police gear, you are looking for the wrong person.
Man, that is incredibly frustrating. It's like the disguise worked on 2 levels. It hid the face, obviously, but it also distorted the body language.
And it gets even murkier. Because the gear is so bulky, it obscured the body shape entirely. Investigators couldn't even definitively say if the suspect was male or female.
Really? I always assumed. Well, looking at the video, the build looks broad.
But is that the person or is that the ballistic vest?
The source mentions that height estimates varied significantly. The heaviness could be the person, or it could be the equipment. So the video, which feels like this smoking gun, is actually really ambiguous.
Okay, so aside from the video, what did the investigation look for? Because usually in 2016 you have digital breadcrumbs. We aren't in the 1980s. People have phones.
Oh, they went deep. The source lists the scope of the investigation. Personal relationships, phone records, social media activity. They were looking for the classic motives.
Love, money, anger.
Exactly. They looked into possible stalkers. Missy was a public figure in the local fitness community. She posted her schedule online.
Which is a vulnerability, right? If you post, "I'll be at Creekside Church at 5 a.m., anyone in the world can see it." Precisely. And they looked at creepy messages she might have received. But despite thousands of tips coming in from the public people saying, "That walk looks like my neighbor," or "That looks like my ex," no arrests were made.
That is unbelievable. Thousands of tips.
It just goes to show how effective the disguise was. It rendered the silent sentinel almost useless for identification.
So let's synthesize this. We have the weird timing, the weird outfit, the weird walk. What are the theories? The source material boils this down to three main possibilities.
Right, and each one is terrifying in a different way.
Okay, hit me with the first one.
Theory number one, a targeted attack. This relies heavily on the timeline we discussed.
The 3.50 arrival versus the 4.20 arrival.
The argument here is that the early arrival implies planning. They knew her schedule. They knew she taught the 5 a.m. Camp Gladiator class. They knew she would be the first one to unlock the doors. They were lying in wait.
So the wandering wasn't wandering, it was pacing, waiting for the target to show up.
Precisely.
Okay, theory two.
Theory number two, inside knowledge. This focuses on the behavior inside the building. The suspect moved through the church with a certain level of comfort.
Meaning they weren't bumping into walls in the dark?
Right. They knew where the hallways led. They knew the layout. This suggests it could be someone from the church or someone who had been there before.
But again, if they knew the church so well, why break the glass? Why not just pick a lock or use a key if they had inside access?
That's the contradiction. The breaking of glass looks like a burglary, which leads us to theory three.
Mistaken identity.
Or a burglary gone wrong. The theory is that the intruder was just a burglar. A weird one, yes, but a burglar. They thought the church was empty due to the storm. They were looking for, I don't know, AV equipment or cash.
And Missy surprises them.
Exactly. She walks in, startles them, and the attack is a panic reaction.
But the outfit. Who burgles a church dressed as a SWAT officer?
It sounds absurd, I know, but some criminals use tactical gear because they think it makes them look professional, or it might intimidate security guards if they run into one.
But then why didn't they take anything? The source doesn't mention any stolen goods.
Because the murder happened. Once the violence occurs, the priority shifts from steal to escape.
I struggle with this one because of the timeline. 3:50 a.m. on a rainy Monday seems like a terrible time to rob a church if you want to avoid people. You're getting pretty close to the morning commute.
Unless you think the rain provides cover. But I agree, the elaborate nature of the gear suggests preparation for a confrontation, not just a theft.
That brings me back to something you hinted at earlier, the psychology of the disguise. I want to go deeper on this. You called it a high signature disguise.
Right. A low signature disguise is a ski mask and a hoodie. You want to blend in or just hide your face. This disguise was designed to stand out. It mimics authority.
So let's play this out. Missy walks in. It's dark. She sees a figure down the hall.
If she sees a guy in a ski mask holding a hammer